So, Proco with a C, just remember curdle, like milk.
Right.
So that'll curdle it, and then flow is what's going to make it float. So the Proco you add every day, and it's about how much is added in water. Now you're not going to probably know that, so I'm going to show you how you do a test in a beaker and then multiply it up. So you've got 2,000 litres and that's half a litre, yeah?
Right.
So you'll multiply it up. So if this was a litre and you put in 1 mil, then you would times it by 1,000, which would be a litre. But then you've got to times it by 2 because you've got 2,000 litres, yeah? Right, so you take 500 mils, yeah?
Yeah, roughly, yeah.
Do 2. Then there is painting here. So that is wood, that's 1 mil. Now you've got painting there from before, from when, you know what I mean, it's not completely clean because when it's, you haven't dug every out, so you've got to add more now than you would before. It's 2 mil. So, can you see it dotting? You see the dots?
Yeah.
So the difference between that and that is that this is get dots in. So it's curdling, which is the C. Yeah? So you can see that's very clear, those dots, yeah? So that means that the paint particles are being separated with the Proco, okay? Then, I put in just over about 2 mils. And then this is the air. We're going to try this. You'll have an air line in the actual glue. Can you see it starting to congeal?
Yeah.
And in the boot, it's always a bit more difficult in this because you're doing it with a smaller. So what you're going to be doing, you can have the Proco a little bit every day, but you will only do this bit, the floating bit, when you want to get stuff out. And because it's powder, it will eventually sink. With liquid, that would have all floated. But because it's powder paint, it's heavy, so it naturally wants to sink. So it's floating quite well at the moment, but then over time it will sink. So we're going to do exactly what I've just done in the booth. So I've put in about 2 mil of the Proco and about just under, but you see how clear that is? Yeah. So we're going to do that in the booth now. Because you've already put the Proco in before, this is the topping up that you're going to be doing. Whereas with the flow, we're going to put a little bit more now because you haven't put any flow in at all. Then when the level's right, you're going to be again topping up. But generally, half of Proflo to Proco when you add it. And it's a 1% of whatever's filled up with water, which you don't really know, which is why we're doing it as a test. But I'm going to suspect that you've had it on for a day and we're putting in 2 litres. I'm going to suspect about 1 litre per day of Proco. Then when you then decide you're going to float it off, say at the end of each week, you multiply it by the days you've worked.
And then 2.5.
Yeah, 2.5, well done. Yeah, 2.5 is your half of that, but over the 5 days.
Yeah.
And then you do a test to see if it needs a little bit extra on the day that you float. Does that all make sense?
Yeah, we'll work it out.
And then I would have a sheet where you sign it and say, yes, I've added 1 litre, sign it, yes, I've added 1, so that if you forget, somebody can add 2 the next day.
Right.
Yeah? So this is obviously half a litre. So, can I have some assistance now, please? We need 2 litres of this.
You do that.
We need 4. Stop. And what we're going to need to do is we're going to need to put glue on. Can we put the glue on now, please?
Yeah.
what you'll be doing, you're just going to carry on as normal with the Proco, because she's fixing while you're working.
Run a bit of that in every day then.
I would just put the weeks every day until we set it out. Because you don't want to overdose it. You're better to overdose and then top off. If you overdose, you can't do anything about it. You've got the dots coming in the room now. See when the magic's going to happen now. Alright. And then we need the airline again, just the airline. You can see it's dark. Airline again. It's floating, we just need to get more clarity. So now I just need to see what it means to get that crystal clear. Okay, one more. Exactly what's happening. Exactly what happens in the cup is happening in there now. Right. So I'm not going to put any more in because you're better to underdose than overdose. But you can see it separating the booze.
Yeah, you can, yeah.
Yeah. You can see it starting to float, and as time progresses, the concentration will sort itself out anyway because you'll have the booze on and stuff. And you'll be taking the paint out as you go. Right, so what you do now is when it floats, you then leave it to do what it's doing, which is settle itself out. So what you then need to do is you need to literally just do this. And because paint powder will separate,
like a mesh or something.
Yeah, you need a mesh.
Yeah.
Like a sieve. Because then that water, you want to get that water back in.
Right, yeah.
So, but you see that, and then that paint will go dry like a pancake. And another thing I'd recommend is like a shovel,
Yeah.
on a
Again, we can make a little one like that.
Yeah,
like that, but with a short handle.
Yeah, it's good.
We could actually make one with really tiny holes in.
Up there, wouldn't it?
Yeah, and then you just need to get as much of this paint out as you can and drain the water off.
Yeah.
While it's floating,
So you walk up the
you
bottom.
want to do it, get it out now, because if you put that booth back on, it's all going to mishmash
Yeah,
up
of course
again.
it is, yeah.
And you only do this once a week. The Proco is every day, and this bit we're doing now, end of the week, say.
Yeah. So.
And let it float, do this maybe on a Friday, let it settle over the weekend, and then if there's anything left, do it on the Monday.
And this will stop us from having to completely drain it.
Well, you'll never have to do it again, ever.
Yeah, so
As long as you keep on top of it.
this has to be done weekly, but you'll never have to drain that. Do what you did the other day again.
No.
And this will stay forever clean, ever. That's the worst it'll ever be, and also we only had 2 beakers, so you won't have to. It won't take you this long next time.
No,
will it?
well, probably.
It'll probably take you 10 minutes at the end on a Friday. Do you know what I mean?
Once we drain that, we tip the water.
Yeah, you put the water, clear water back in here, because you're then keeping the dose up, and then the paint you put into a sack or something to filter it, like a net. Just get some gauze or something, and then it will go hard, but it won't go sticky hard like paint. It will just go like yeah, really, like a crumbly brick. That sort of consistency, and then it just goes into your paint waste. But some people don't, like some of the big companies, they can't stop, they're 24/7 working. So what they'll do is they'll pull it off into one of those, and they'll treat it in one of those by the side, so that the boom carries on working.
Yeah.
So it is an option if you ever get any like that you just want to
It
treat
is,
separately.
but I mean, really,
Yeah, you weren't able to wash your cups in it last time, were you?
no, it's true.
Yeah, it's done.
Brilliant.